Hey class, another week and some more geology. Hope you're all doing well. Hair's getting a little bit longer and enjoying a lot of time behind the computer, helping out everyone with classes and research and everything else. Hope you and your families are doing well still. Definitely reach out if anything's going on. Need any help with anything, been in communication with most all of you a bit, and just want to give you a rundown of what's in store now for the week ahead. We have a bunch of feedback for all of you on your GeoZine storyline drafts that you submitted last week. So I've now graded all those, which is just pass-fail in terms of doing what I asked, but then I gave you each individualized feedback on ways that you can think about improving those storylines and making better as you look towards the final GeoZines that are due at the end of the semester. And some general things. About half the folks were good about including sentences on the bottom that directly tie your geologic observations from the field to the what you're depicting in those panels. So it's really important to tie what's going to be on the back in the geologic map to those panels. Also, a bit of white space issues for some folks. Some folks had a good balance of text and images and white space. Some people got a little too crowded, wanting to fit too much in there. Other folks on the opposite side just didn't have much going on, a lot of empty space in some of those panels. So it's trying to find that balance there. And then also just a good reminder too that for a lot of folks, you don't have to just stick to like map view drawing continents or cross-section views showing like faults and mountains. You can combine those or even do like 3D diagrams. You're all learning a bunch more graphic design skills on the computer now. The final versions of these at the end of the semester, you'll use these new digital graphic design skills to create the final versions digitally. So you'll have a really nice sharp zine with that final digital product and storylines that make sense because you've already submitted those and have a good handle and have helped people on some of the storyline issues and stuff too. Let me know if there are any questions on the short term. The tasks on that project are going to come back in a couple weeks. You can see the syllabus there. But those are going to be focused more on towards the end of the semester. And right now we're going to focus on just building some more of those digital graphic design skills and doing some feedback and more learning on content related to geologic hazards and presentations, which will be this week. So we have kind of two main task areas for the week ahead here. The first task, 1 and 2, that's all about these critical zone hydrology diagrams that you've drafted up and are submitting today. So you're going to do peer reviews. So you've all been assigned a partner, and you can see the list here in the announcement I put on iLearn. So what you're going to do is you'll work with your partner. You and your partner via iLearn are going to peer review each other. I'm hoping on iLearn this works the way it seems like it should, and it's set up to doing these peer reviews. If for some reason the iLearn functionality doesn't work the way that I'm hoping, it's my first time doing the peer review thing using iLearn, then we'll just have you work with your partner via email, and then I'll set up a assignment on iLearn so you can submit those paragraphs that you write for your partner in terms of providing them critical feedback. And so you can see in the post I put up here for the week and on the assignment prompt from last week, there's kind of the final steps 5 and 6 for the critical zone hydrology project. Step 5 being that you'll perform this critique. So you'll open their draft that's up on iLearn under the assignment. You'll review again the graphic design best practices that I posted last week. And that you use to draft up your critical zone hydrology diagram. The reason I'm having you look at these again is because the peer critique is not only to help out your partner, but to help yourself out by learning some of these basics of graphic design in an even stronger way by having to provide that feedback to someone else. It's just a good learning technique for really kind of getting some of that knowledge ingrained in terms of how you use images to tell a story. And I think it's just a really valuable skill set to have as you move forward for a million different things. Being able to do a little bit of basic graphic design, especially in the sciences when we're trying to communicate complex things. A well-crafted image can go a really long way with that. So to do these peer critiques, you'll open up your partner's work on iLearn. Then you'll follow what I put in the assignment prompt from last week, which is step 5, which is where you'll write this peer critique paragraph. And it will be a compliment sandwich, also known as other types of sandwiches that aren't as tasty. And that means the heart of the sandwich, not the tastiest part, is where you're giving that kind of constructive feedback that might have some negative things, but you have constructive, positive ways to fix those. But then you kind of sandwich it on both ends with some of the positive praise aspects of what things you liked about the diagram. And just practicing giving these kind of compliment feedback sandwiches is just a valuable skill set to have as you move ahead with all different types of job stuff, especially when you don't know people super well. It can be really valuable to really preface things with a positive statement, get into the bulk of it, and then follow up also with some like genuine positive statements and leave that dialogue in a really positive place. So I want you to practice that, giving that positive but constructive feedback to your partner. And then I want you to use that feedback to improve your diagram and submit a final version by next Tuesday. And there'll be a new assignment on iLearn for you to submit those final versions by 12:30 next Tuesday. And everything I just went over, again, is on the assignment prompt from last week at steps 5 and 6 of the assignment that you were just working on and finishing up today. And then you'll get the final version next week. So yeah, check out your partners, work with them. Hopefully it'll happen with iLearn. If not, we'll do it work with them via email, and then you'll submit those final paragraphs to me on iLearn, so I know that everyone's done their peer reviews. Let's see. And then the final task for this week is we now have everyone who hasn't presented during the first half semester has now done an alternate presentation. Again, didn't want to force people into a very different dynamic of having to be behind a screen giving a presentation, especially with people with a variety of resources. So what we did is took out some of that, those requirements, and instead increased the amount of requirements just on the PowerPoint presentation, the design of it, the scientific information, and then had the 6 remaining people type up the information that they would have said otherwise. And I've created forums, and so this is your final task for the week. Besides the peer review and creating the final version of your diagrams, is also to go on to the forums. There's 6 sub-forums for each of the different presentations. Watch the presentation, read through it, make sure you have all that information, take some notes, because this is all stuff that's fair game for a final exam as well. Then follow up by commenting in the forums. Just like we would do the question and answer session afterwards in class, we're going to do this via forums. And so if you haven't used forum before, basically it's just dialogue via text. And so you're going to send comments or questions, and you can see what I've outlined here for what you're going to want to do for task 3 for this week. But basically, there's 6 of these new presentations. I'm only asking you to make 5 comments total across the 6. So definitely look at all 6. And maybe you get really into 2 and you put 5 comments just on those 2, or you put those 5, or you do more than 5 and you have several comments on each. That's all, the more the better, but at least 5 comments or questions. And at least 2 of those comments, those contributions you make, need to bring in outside information. So have some critical dialogue where it's showing that you're not only just curious about what's going on there, but you're actually thinking about it in a deep way and bringing some of your own outside knowledge to bear into that forum and discussion to make it a really valuable discussion train, not just a quick question answer, but maybe take it a little bit farther. And if you get into these, I mean, definitely go for it. I think this would be a good way for people to interact and have some fun with some of the content in the course. For the 6 of you that have the presentations, and they essentially are operating as like moderators of each of your presentation, I've stated there that you need to check in at least daily through this Friday, so that you can reply to any questions and stuff that get posed to you on your particular presentation. And again, those replies would count towards your 5 contributions you need to have at least. So for all students, you need to have at least those 5 contributions in by noon on this Friday, 4/17, and then for the moderators, the 6 presenters, essentially, you need to check in daily and then have your final answers in by 5 p.m. on Friday so that you can reply to any final things that get posted by noon on Friday from the other students. So that's all outlined in task 3. Just wanted to walk through that. So just as a reminder overall for the week, make sure to check out that feedback that I gave you on your GeoZine draft storylines. And then for your tasks, you're going to do those peer reviews for your partner. And then you're going to submit a final version of your critical zone hydrology diagram by next Tuesday. And then also by noon this Friday, you're going to have at least 5 contributions to those presentations that are posted, and the presenters are going to have feedback by 5 p.m. this Friday. Great. Let me know if folks have any individual questions, and feel free to comment on this as well. Should have some fun and keep those dialogues going, and look forward to checking in with all of you next week. I'm sure I'll talk to a lot of you in the meantime. Take care. Bye.